Hello students, myself Ajay Kumar Srivastava and I am senior faculty in botany at Sri Chaitanya. We were discussing the process of transcription. In the previous lecture, we discussed about the transcriptional unit, about the enzyme that is DNA dependent RNA polymerase in prokaryotes especially that participates in the process of transcription, and about the substrate that I used. Today we are going to discuss the process of transcription. It has three steps: initiation, elongation and termination, and we will be focusing on transcription in prokaryotes or bacteria. So, let us start. You see, as I said, the first process is initiation. So, first of all, the RNA polymerase enzyme, by attaching to the sigma factor, it attaches to the promoter. I told you that the enzyme itself can only elongate the process. For initiating the process, it requires a sigma factor. So, with the help of sigma factor, the RNA polymerase enzyme binds to a specific site on the promoter, and this site in the promoter in bacteria has a conserved sequence of nucleotides TAT AAT called as Pribnov box, and it is at -10 position. Now, you must be thinking, what is -10 position? Remember, we said that on the coding strand, when we move towards 5' end, we call upstream, and when we move towards 3' end of the coding strand, we call downstream. So, when we move upstream, we refer in minus. 1 nucleotide upstream -1, 2 nucleotide upstream -2, like this. Okay. So, it means 10 nucleotide upstream, this is present, that is why it is called as -10 position. Okay. And here you can see in this diagram, our template strand will be 3 to 5 because polymerization will be 5 to 3. So, you see this purple color line is representing the template strand, it is 3 to 5, and here you see the RNA polymerase enzyme with the help of sigma factor has attached to the specific site on the promoter, which is the Pribnov box. That is all for initiation. Next we come to the process of elongation. Okay. Very important point. See, the use of sigma factor was only to attach to a specific site on the promoter. So, once the enzyme gets attached to the promoter, sigma factor dissociates. Now, its work is done. Okay. This you can see here in the diagram. Okay. The sigma factor has now dissociated. It is not attached to the enzyme. Okay. Next thing is that RNA polymerase moves on the template strand. It also causes unwinding of DNA. This we also discussed in the previous chapter, that in case of DNA replication, a specific enzyme called helicase is required for causing this unwinding of DNA. Here RNA polymerase itself is capable of causing unwinding of the DNA. Okay. Next is, it causes polymerization of RNA in 5' end to 3' end direction. So, remember, the enzyme polymerizes RNA in 5' end to 3' end direction. Okay. It means the template will be 3' end to 5' end. Okay. Next, only a short stretch of DNA remains bound to the enzyme, that also we can see here. Okay. Only 3' end to 5' end DNA strand is transcribed. You know, it is called as template strand. It is also called as antisense strand. Remember students, the template strand is also called as the antisense strand, and the other strand that does not participate in transcription, that is called as the sense strand, or it is also called as the coding strand. So, the other strand is coding strand or sense strand, and the strand that is participating in transcription is called as the template strand or antisense strand. Let us see this with a diagram also. Elongation, you see the RNA polymerase enzyme, only the enzyme sigma factor has dissociated, is moving on the DNA template, and you see new RNA, or you can say nascent RNA, is being synthesized. As this RNA is synthesized, it keeps on leaving the template. Okay. and the enzyme keeps on moving. So, this is all regarding elongation process. And one more thing I want to tell you, the portion of the DNA in which transcription has been completed, it rewinds, the sense strand and the antisense strand rewind in that portion. Okay? So, this is all regarding elongation. Now, we come to the last step of termination, okay, and this takes place when the RNA polymerase reaches the terminator. Remember, we talked about the transcription unit, promoter, structural gene and terminator. So, when the RNA polymerase enzyme reaches the terminator, another factor, okay, which is the termination factor or Rho factor binds to it, and due to this it causes the end of the transcription. The newly formed RNA, nascent RNA or newly formed RNA, as you can see here, this newly formed RNA dissociates, and after that even the enzyme itself dissociates. So, the newly formed or nascent RNA falls off, the RNA polymerase enzyme itself falls off, and the two strands of the DNA that had been separated, they rewind, and this causes the termination of transcription. As you can see here, the RNA has dissociated, the enzyme has dissociated, and the Rho factor is bound to the enzyme, and this whole complete has caused the termination process, and the two strands of DNA have rewound. So, with this we complete the process of transcription in bacteria. Now, the product of transcription is the mRNA. This mRNA now has to undergo translation to synthesize a specific protein, and this process takes place on the ribosome. Okay. Now, let us see, this is a bacterial cell. Okay. And this is the DNA, bacterial DNA or nucleoid, what to call it. Okay. You see, in bacteria there is no nuclear membrane, so there is no compartmentalization, there are no two separate chambers. So, DNA is present in the same chamber where the ribosome is present. Okay. So, means the site of transcription and the site of translation are common, there is no compartmentalization. Okay. Second thing is that in bacteria the product of transcription is directly mRNA. Okay. In bacteria or prokaryotes, the product of transcription is directly mRNA that is ready for translation. So, many a time what happens, while transcription is still continuing, transcription is still not completed, the ribosome binds to the RNA and starts translation for synthesizing specific protein. So, you see here transcription is still in progress, transcription is still not completed, but the ribosome has bound to the mRNA and started translation. This is the polypeptide chain. Means you can see in this diagram that transcription and translation are coupled phenomena. Okay, coupled phenomena in bacteria. Why? Due to two reasons. First, the product of transcription is directly mRNA that can directly undergo translation, and second, the site of transcription and the site of translation are common because there is no nuclear membrane. But this is not the case in eukaryotes. See, in eukaryotes, transcription and translation can never be coupled phenomena. Why? Let us see. Suppose this is a eukaryotic cell, this is the nucleus. DNA is present in the nucleus in the form of chromosomes. It means the site of transcription is nucleus. The site of transcription is nucleus, while ribosomes are present in the cytoplasm. So, the site of translation is cytoplasm, and they are separated by a nuclear membrane. This is the first complication. Second complication is the product of transcription is not directly mRNA. The product of transcription is hnRNA. We have discussed in the previous lectures. The product of transcription is hnRNA, which cannot immediately undergo translation. First of all, it has to undergo a processing, capping, tailing, splicing, that we will discuss. Okay. After all this is completed, then it is converted to mRNA, and then it will come out through the nuclear pore for translation. So, due to these two additional complications, first, that the site of transcription and site of translation are into different chambers separated by a nuclear membrane, and second, the primary product of transcription is not directly mRNA, but hnRNA, which within the nucleus itself it will undergo a post transcriptional processing to first get converted into mRNA, and then it will come out from the nucleus into the cytoplasm for translation. So, now let us see this, how hnRNA is converted into mRNA, post transcriptional processing of hnRNA in eukaryotes. Okay. Capping and tailing. You see, at the 5 prime end of the hnRNA, a methyl guanosine is added. Okay, it has methylation at 7th position, that is why it is called as 7-methyl guanosine, and this is called as a cap, and presence of this cap is very necessary for the formation of the mRNA ribosome complex for the initiation of the translation process, and this cap is added with the help of an enzyme guanyl transferase. So, with the help of guanyl transferase at 5 prime end, a 7-methyl guanosine cap is added that helps in the formation of mRNA ribosome complex during translation. And at the 3 prime end, as you can see, a polyadenylate tail is added. This polyadenylate tail is added, the length is 200 to 300 adenylate residues, okay, and this is added without using any template, that is why it is called as in template independent manner, and the enzyme which is catalyzes this reaction is poly-A polymerase. So, this completes the, you can see, capping and tailing of the hnRNA. Now, the other process is splicing. Now, what is splicing? In splicing, I have said that the gene that is transcribing the RNA, that has two types of portion, exons and introns. In the hnRNA, both are represented, as you can see. In splicing process, the introns are removed because introns do not have to undergo translation. So, the introns are removed. So, and exons are joined to form the mRNA. So, removal of introns and joining of exons to produce the fully processed mRNA, this is called as splicing. So, you see what is happening in splicing, the process of removal of introns and joining of exons in a definite order. Okay. Introns are removed with the help of spliceosomes. Now, let us try to see what is spliceosomes. There are RNA, snRNA protein complexes called as SNRPs. You can see here, see, SNRP. Okay. So, first of all, a pair of SNRPs release and they attach to the two ends of the introns, 5 prime end and 3 prime end, and then some other proteins attach to it. So, when these other proteins attach to it, this entire structure is called spliceosome, and it removes the intron. As you can see, the intron has been removed, and then only the exons remain, and the exons are joined, and then you get the fully mature mRNA. So, remember, the mRNA will always be smaller than its gene, because certain portion of the gene are not represented in the mRNA, and as you can see here, all this process, that is the entire processing, takes place inside the nucleus. So, mRNA is formed inside the nucleus. Once this mRNA is formed, then it is transported out of the nucleus into the cytoplasm for translation, because you know translation takes place at ribosome and ribosome is present in the cytoplasm. So, children, with this we complete post transcriptional processing of the hnRNA. Now children, such genes that have introns and exons are called as split genes or interrupted gene. So see, a split gene is a gene that contains exons and introns. Okay, you know exons provide instruction for coding proteins while introns are removed. Okay, and most of the eukaryotic genes are split genes. There are few exceptions like genes for interferons, genes for histone proteins. These are not split genes, but by and large eukaryotic genes are split genes, and these were discovered by Robert and Sharp in 1977. Now let us see what is the significance of a split gene arrangement. So see, split gene arrangement represents probably an ancient feature of the genome. Now why we are saying it is probably an ancient feature of the genome? Because you remember that in old time RNA, there was RNA world. RNA was the main molecule around which everything has evolved. And you see, the process of splicing requires RNA. The presence of introns is the reminiscent of antiquity, and the process of splicing represents the dominance of RNA world, because if splicing does not take place, gene expression will not take place, and splicing requires snRNA, small nuclear RNA. So it shows that there was a time when RNA was the dominant. And students, sometimes what happens that erroneous splicing takes place, or wrong splicing takes place. So sometimes along with the introns, some exonic portion is also removed, causing shortening of the polypeptide chain, and a very good example is beta thalassemia. Okay. So with this we have finished split gene arrangement, and we have also finished the process of transcription. Now we will be doing some questions that have been asked in the previous years. Our first question: which of the following RNAs should be most abundant in animal cells? This question was children asked in NEET 2017, and the options are ribosomal RNA, rRNA, second tRNA, third mRNA, and fourth miRNA. If you remember, while discussing the chapter, we said that in the cytoplasm the 80% is the ribosomal RNA, 15% is tRNA, and 5% is the mRNA. So the most abundant RNA is the ribosomal RNA. So our answer is ribosomal RNA. Just one thing I more want to tell you here, that you see there are two things. RNAs, and second is when we speak both look similar, but there is difference. RNAs, this one means plural of RNA, many RNA, and this RNA, ASE is the suffix. This means an enzyme that digests RNA. Similar will be the case when you write DNAs, and this is many DNA, plural of DNA, and this is the enzyme that digests DNA. So when ASE is the suffix, it means we are talking about the DNA digesting enzyme. Clear? Next we come to our second question. The equivalent of a structural gene is, you know, in 2016 NEET was held in two phases. So this was asked in phase 2 of the NEET 2016. Equivalent of a structural gene is, options are first muton, second cistron, third operon, and fourth recon. Remember we said that the structural gene, if it is coding for a polypeptide, it is also called as cistron. In the previous lecture we said that all genes are made up of DNA, but all genes are not cistrons. So those structural genes that are coding for a polypeptide chain are called as cistron. It means cistron is equivalent to the structural gene. This is our answer. Now, one more thing, that there was a scientist called Seymour Benzer. He coined these terms cistron, recon and muton. Cistron, I already told you, gene for function. A smallest portion of a gene that can undergo mutation is called as muton, and that portion of a gene that can undergo recombination is called as recon. So, cistron, recon, muton terms were given by S. Benzer. Operon, that we will study later on, this term was given by Jacob and Monod when they explained the regulation of gene expression in the bacterium Escherichia coli. Next question, which of the following rRNAs acts as a structural RNA as well as ribozyme in the bacteria? Now, you see, all rRNA have a structural function because along with proteins they form the structure of ribosome. Now, but 23S ribosomal RNA, remember when we were discussing the topic, we said that 23S rRNA, it functions as an enzyme, and RNA functioning as an enzyme, such RNA is called as ribozyme. And what is the reaction it catalyzes? It helps in the, or it catalyzes the formation of the peptide bond between two amino acids, and hence it is also called as the peptidyl transferase enzyme. So, our answer is 23S rRNA, which along with structural also has an enzymatic function, or it is a ribozyme. This question was asked in NEET again phase 2 2016. Next question, again this was asked in NEET phase 2 2016. DNA dependent RNA polymerase catalyzes transcription on one strand of the DNA, which is called the, your options are template strand, coding strand, alpha strand and anti strand. Okay. And you know that this strand is called as the template strand. So, our answer is template strand. But you see children, here there is a catch, because this template strand is also called as the antisense strand, and this option is very close to this, but it is written anti strand and not antisense strand. That is why this is not the correct answer. The correct answer is the template strand, and the other strand that does not participate in transcription, you know, it is called as coding strand. Okay, our next question, removal of RNA polymerase III from nucleoplasm will affect the synthesis of, okay, see, mRNA, rRNA, tRNA and hnRNA. Remember, in eukaryotes there are three types of RNA polymerase. RNA polymerase first, it is mainly involved in the synthesis of rRNA, except the 5S rRNA, it synthesizes all the rRNAs. RNA polymerase second, it is involved in the synthesis of hnRNA that later gets converted into mRNA. Next, RNA polymerase third, this is involved in the synthesis of tRNA, snRNA and 5S rRNA. Okay, it means RNA polymerase third, mainly it is involved with the synthesis of tRNA, because most of the rRNA are synthesized by RNA polymerase first. This question was asked in AIPMT, All India Pre-Medical Test. It was held by CBSE, and it was for few years it was held in two phases, prelims and mains. So, this was asked in prelims 2012. Okay. Now, coming to our next question, removal of introns and joining of exons in a defined order during transcription is called. Okay. So, we have just studied that the removal of introns and joining of exons, this is called as splicing. But children, you see here, the examiner has given the options very judiciously, because in the examination hall we are in a bit of hurry. So, the first word that comes, we emphasize on that. You see slicing, splicing, very similar matching word, and if slicing is given as the first option, splicing is given as the second option, you know the answer, still you may commit a fault and you may tick and move forward. So, please read all the options very carefully while answering a question, and you know this process is called as splicing. So, our answer will be splicing. Okay. Our next question is, which of the following is not a part of a transcription unit in DNA? We have studied the transcription unit. We know that the transcription unit consists of promoter, structural gene and terminator. So, promoter, structural gene and terminator are the part of the transcription unit. It means our answer will be the inducer. Inducer is not a part of the transcription unit. Now, what is inducer? That we will study when we study regulation of gene expression. Inducer is a chemical that induces the activity of a gene. That chemical is called inducer. Okay? Next question. The eukaryotic cell transcription, RNA splicing and RNA capping take place inside the first ribosomes, second nucleus, third dictyosomes and fourth endoplasmic reticulum. You know, in eukaryotes the DNA which is in the form of chromosome or chromatin is present inside the nucleus. So, within the nucleus transcription takes place to produce the hnRNA, then within the hnRNA capping, tailing and splicing takes place to form the mRNA from the hnRNA, and then this mRNA comes out from the nucleus into the cytoplasm through the pores in the nuclear membrane to undergo translation. It means all these processes take place inside the nucleus. So, our answer will be nucleus. You see, again these questions have been asked in the AIPMT. Earlier when there was no NEET, then the CBSE used to conduct All India pre-medical test examination. Why, students, I am taking only those questions that have been asked by the CBSE in the NEET or AIPMT, just to emphasize the point that if you thoroughly study your NCERT, you can very easily solve the questions that are asked in the various entrance examinations, and you know now there is only one, that is NEET. Okay. So, to boost and generate your confidence. So, with this, students, we come to the end of this class, and in this class we completed transcription and post transcriptional processing. In the next class we will be starting with the genetic code. Thank you very much.